Hello, my name's Mark Darren. This is the Brain Hotel behind the scenes video. Way back in 2004, my friend Algar and I decided we were going to make a point and click adventure game since that was the game of our choice. We enjoyed the puzzles, we enjoyed the narrative, and we had a chance to make one of our very own using Flash, which was popular software back in the day. We set out to make a browser-based, fully voiced cinematic point-and-click adventure game. Put it out there. It got pretty good reception. It got a great reception, in fact. It got really good reviews. And now it's 20 years later, and Pinhead Games has decided to remake their whole catalog of games, and that includes Brain Hotel. So we're remaking it in a modern engine. We're using Unity. We've converted it to full 3D. We're doing all new audio recordings for it. We're doing all new music soundtrack for it. We have some wonderful artists helping out. But let's go back to 2004 when we first started making our Flash game and take a look at that. So one of the things we wanted to do was, or one of the things I had initially planned to do was just kind of take those 2D assets and turn them into 3D assets. But it had been 20 years, so it was hard to remember exactly what they were. And I found some software that would extract the images and the sprites used in the Flash game and be able to spit those out. And that's what we're seeing here. Some of the content, some of the locations, which were just static shots that Algar had built and sent over for me to use in the game. There we were using some 3D software. I think we were using Poser to create our characters and then spit those out as 2D images. So you'll see a whole bunch of 2D frames for the animation we used back in the day. And through this recovery software, we were able to pull the assets, the original graphics, the original sounds, and the original music from the original game, and see if there was anything we could use there in our remaster. There was not. There was nothing. But it was a great reference. So we're looking at the 2D assets. I was able to diligently kind of recreate the look, and I was trying to capture it as closely as possible to the original without going. I didn't want to make crazy new improvements or adjustments that would really change the tone of what the original game brought. I was trying to preserve all of that, but just recreate it in 3D on a modern engine and get it out there on Steam so modern audiences could enjoy it as well. So here's what some of that looks like now in 3D. So we saw some of the 2D reference images just a moment ago. And here's now what it looks like in 3D. You can see that I built the entire set as one environment. It's one large scrolling environment, chopped up into little bits and pieces like the upstairs and the downstairs pool. They're all still on the same environment level that you see here, but you enter them from different places. So you can see here I rebuilt the entire set, the entire interior of the hotel in one single environment, which gave us the ability to kind of seamlessly move from one room to the next without any loading screens, and just to be able to really feel like you're in that space. And that's what I wanted to bring to it. I wanted to not have it chopped up like the original Flash game and to loading each individual scene in as you move from space to space. I wanted you to now feel what it was like to move from one end of the hotel all the way to the other end, experiencing everything in between. Ed Arnold is our main character. Ed was originally built in Poser, as I may have mentioned before, and then exported as 2D frames of animation. And we had hundreds of frames of animation for Ed, for the cutscenes, for the regular animation, for his walking. You can see the sprites that are laid out here, just endless frames of animation that we brought into Flash and converted to make our character, which worked fine for the time, but that was kind of a limiting factor of what we could export, which is one of the cool things about bringing him in as a 3D character, is we no longer really had those limitations. We could put whatever kind of animations we wanted on him, and it wasn't going to be as cumbersome as trying to deal with 2D sprites. And here you can see what Ed looks like as a 3D character. This is built with Character Creator 3, Reallusion. You can see how different he looks here. This is a fully detailed model. This wasn't the version or the look we wanted to go with. We wanted to maintain that 2D comic book style, so we took what was here and then brought that into Unity and applied some 2D shaders to it to really give it that comic book look. Not all of our character conversions were successful right out of the bat. One of the tough ones was Impo, the elevator operator. In the original game, he was weird looking. He was supposed to be a really kind of jovial, mischievous type of character, hence the name Impo. But he was kind of twisted looking and weird and bizarre, which was fine. It kind of fit his character. But then I tried to recreate him in 3D, and I got this really weird looking character who didn't actually look too bad in the 3D model. He looked interesting, but not too bad. But when I converted him to that kind of toon shader, cell shaded look, it was completely wrong. It didn't fit at all. So I talked about it with Algar, and he had some ideas of how he originally wanted that character to look, and it was kind of less imposing and grotesque and more kind of silly and mischievous. And so he sent me over a model that he had been working on, which was much more cartoonish, that fit the character a lot better. So we brought that version in, and that's the 3D version that you'll see in the game that's out now. So those were just some of the changes we had in bringing the new game to new audiences. I hope you've enjoyed this quick look behind the scenes and see what kind of the struggles there were with the design challenges and what we were starting with, what we were hoping to achieve, and hopefully we have brought that to life in a new and exciting way. And hope you guys really enjoy the game. Have fun and enjoy your pointing and clicking and adventuring.